So, how many of you knew that the Canary Islands have pyramids? Neither did I. And these so called Guanche people that constructed them, supposedly, have a tendency to have red hair and have some really strange genealogy that seems to be unrelated to just about anybody else. Interesting, folks. Well, where in the world is there not pyramids? Because they seem to be freaking everywhere. Anyway, so here's what I feel is a pretty accurate representation of what what the waves would look like in the worst case scenario. 500 cubic kilometers of rock. So it would be approximately that much land. And there's some interesting results, things I didn't expect. I didn't expect the Caribbean would have some of the largest waves, but South America and the Caribbean are in trouble in that event because there's a lot of flat land in the Caribbean. Um, 500 cubic kilometers, that's a lot. That's a lot. That's like a lot of rock. Duh. I'm stating the obvious. Okay, so the islands themselves are screwed with 400 plus meter waves, and with 2.2 million people living on those islands, they're probably not gonna have a good time. Interesting how it kind of spreads like that. So we get up to 100 meters at the African Moroccan coastline, mostly here. So as much as 300 feet. And we get up to six, so over 100 feet possibly in Portugal and Spain. But I'm not interested in the wave height. I'm interested how long the tsunami is, because in Indonesia in 2004, during when 300,000 people died, and in Japan and Fukushima, the problem was how far inland the waves went, not how tall they were. But I would assume that waves this tall would go pretty far inland, and that so see, even the UK could get 60 feet tall waves. It's pretty interesting. It even goes all the way to Newfoundland. Look at that. So we got 90-foot waves on the east coast. And the Bahamas get taller waves. And so does Cuba. And so all these islands, except for, the higher, Puerto Rico has a lot of hills and highland, and so does Haiti. And some of these islands do, but there's a lot of them that are also very flat. So I think they would be in a lot of trouble, even with a 40-meter wave. They would be in a lot of trouble, I think. Brazil's coastline tends to be pretty rugged and tall. So, but still, I'm sure. What movie? Anyway, so 7 to 9 hours. Okay, so it's 7 to 9 hours across the whole Atlantic. That's how long it would take. And I think, evacuating the East Coast is doable in that amount of time, with the exception of a few places that I think will be in quite a lot of trouble, um, even in a 9 hour time frame. And the reason is, well, first of all, I lived in New York for many years. And I could tell you, I know all these areas, including New Jersey, very well. And to evacuate all these freaking people, even in 9 hours, would be just absolutely ridiculous. Like, I'm not FEMA, I don't know what the evacuation plan is, but all you gotta do is use your common sense. So, first of all, this is where I grew up, down here, Sheepshead Bay and Brighton Beach, south of Brooklyn, right there. And you see the wave. I mean, I don't know. You have a lot of, these little islands over here that would kind of be a barrier between the wave and the populated areas of Long Island here. So that's good right there. But you see how New York City is essentially an archipelago, for lack of a better word. Um, and there's only a handful of bridges and tunnels that leads to it. It's a pain in the ass to get out of the city. Trust me, I know. I've done it many times, and I lived there. And even to get from Sheepshead Bay to the Verrazano Bridge to try to get to New Jersey is usually a traffic clogged pain in the ass. Now I'm gonna try to imagine how all these millions and millions and millions and millions of people would try to leave. It would just be ridiculous. I think they might be able to evacuate a couple of million in 9 hours, but I don't know. But then again, like, you have a lot of, you know, there is barriers that are protecting. Like, how would the wave even make it to Manhattan if you think about it? Unless, it creates like a funnel effect through between Brooklyn and Staten Island, and it kind of just rushes up through here. But I don't know. Like, New York City would definitely be in a lot of trouble in an evacuation scenario, even if with all those hours. Less densely populated areas would be, even they would have a hard time. But I think maybe a place like Boston would have a difficult time as well. Extremely flat. I've been there several times. Extremely flat downtown area, so no doubt that even a smaller wave would affect Boston somehow. And it's so densely packed and populated that I can imagine it would very much be a challenge to try to evacuate Boston as well. But not like New York. But it would be a mess for sure. Very crowded place. And keep in mind, a lot of people, don't drive in New York. You don't really need a car there. And, but what good would it do if you're having millions of people trying to evacuate? Like, what good would that even do? You might as well walk across the bridges. It'll probably be a lot faster. Now, the main concern, honestly, should be like the flattest land areas. I've been all over here. Virginia Beach has a lot of hills, and North Carolina is very flat. I've been here. South Carolina is ridiculously flat. Savannah, it gets a little bit more rugged down here. And then Florida, of course, is a freaking pancake. So that would be your main concern with this wave. In my opinion, it would be Florida, because of just how ridiculously flat it is. Again, I'm just thinking of just trying to visualize how, evacuations would even work, and I'm struggling to visualize it. But the scenario of this occurring is very small. The chance is very small, so It's all good in the hood. See you later.